Hey, how's it going today? It's Frankie and I'm here with Wild Wednesdays. And this movie is called Below Zero. This is a bloody good movie. I've never said that sort of those words together like that, because it is a really good movie. This movie nearly had everything. I mean, the build-up, the storyline, the dialogue as well. I mean, it had a lot of things. Apart from the acting, I'll break this movie down as best as I can because there's a lot that goes on and I'm probably going to miss out a few bits. I'll summarize it the best I can as I always do in my reviews. Excuse me, sorry about that. But yeah, it starts off with, the start is not too bad, like some guy that's running away from somebody, and this guy is the one that eventually is the one that gets to, like, ambushes the police van. Not police van, prisoner van, as you want to call it. And he buries this guy, that you'll find out his name towards the end, which I'll mention. And then after that, it doesn't kick off until like 30 minutes in. So I'm going to skip the whole intro part. And, you see like this officer in a van, and this guy called Martin, which is the one that has to survive, like, the prisoners inside the van, and the person outside, the one that's shooting at them and trying to scare them, whatever you want to call it, right? It's a bit of an ambush, and he also has to survive the cold. Hence why the title is called Below Zero. I would assume that's why it's called that. And 30 minutes in, they the tires sort of get a puncture from like spikes that the guy put down. And yeah, so he sees what's going on, and then Montesinos, which is his partner, sort of exits the van to see what's going on. And then you later find out that he gets shot, and one of the prisoners has some sort of key or something like that, that they had a key. Ramis, I think his name, is the one that has a key. I thought he had something to do with it. I thought he was the one that ordered people to come and save him. Not quite the case. He just happens to have a key to open the door, and then he sort of like tries to rescue the other prisoners as well. And when Martin sort of goes out, he hears gunfire, and he's getting shot at, and his leg gets hit as well. And the police officers that were in the car in front of them, got killed, and you see Montesinos gets shot, and yeah, he sort of has to get back, and he comes across the prisoners, and the prisoners ambush him, and yeah, it's a bit chaotic. It can get a bit chaotic, and they sort of attack one another, and yeah, and then you see one of the prisoners that has a key, and someone called Nano sort of, I think, kills this prisoner with a fire extinguisher, or hits someone in the head multiple times, or face as well, multiple times till he dies as well. And apparently this guy that's actually that ambushed the van is called Miguel, and Miguel is after Nano. And Nano sort of pleads innocence, and he doesn't know what he doesn't know why this guy's after him. This guy's like a corrupt cop or whatever it is, and they're after he's after him for some reason. He doesn't know, and he says they're going to kill him. And this Miguel is pleading to give Nano to him, otherwise they will all die. He also set the van on fire, which set one of the prisoners on fire. Yeah, this movie there's a lot in this movie, I'm telling you. And then also another scene where they sort of lock, I think, Martin and Nano in, because Nano has swallowed the key, so he's the only way out of that. But the three prisoners outside of the bars sort of like open up the hatch, and I think, what's this guy's name, Pardo, whoever it is, Pardo or somebody else, was unscrewing so they can get out. And then another scene of it, you see like Montesinos, which he managed to, I don't know how he survived, but he managed to get up. He's in the car, and he tries to shoot out the windows of like the van. He tries to shoot the van to try and get Miguel to try and stop, but he doesn't. And eventually he runs Montesinos off the road, and his car crashes, and then he does eventually. And you can see Miguel just looking at pictures of like some young girl or something, just feeling sorry for him. I thought that was Montesinos' daughter, but that wasn't his car. I think it was obviously someone else's car, but I don't know why Miguel looks so guilty. You'll later find out why. And then they eventually drive somewhere. Boy, this movie you need to watch this movie for yourself, because this movie is just brilliant throughout. And then Miguel comes to stop. He still doesn't give the reason why he was Nano. And then he eventually makes a stop in at this sort of like foot of ice, and he sort of shoots the ice so the van can sink into the waters. And yeah, Martin and Nano still, locked in, but they have to, they have to find a way to get out, and they have, and the prisoners, eventually set, Martin and Nano free, and they get out of the van, and they open a sort of emergency hatch. They leave, and I think someone called, what was it, Ruiz, or somebody else died in that van, so it was only just, what's that other dude's name, but Ramis and Nano that survived. And Nano's on the run from this Miguel dude, and Ramis and Martin sort of exchange conversations. He actually saved Martin's life, because he could have died if he didn't get revived or whatever you want to call it, or CPR we would say. And Ramis just says he's going to open up his bun, and Martin's, so he's going to call it by bun. He goes off. I said that's not allowed. I suppose in that situation, I guess with everything that's happened, I guess you've got no choice but to let him free, because particularly the other prisoners died, so he's probably just going to classify him as dead too. So he lets Ramis leave, but then he hears gunshots, and he follows where it's coming from, and he comes across Miguel shooting from outside the window to try and aim at Nano. And then this is where you find out why Miguel was after him. He's after him because Nano and his friend Chino, assaulted a young girl, and that's why he's after him. That explains everything. I thought as well during the movie, I was just like, Nano must have done something really bad if this dude wants him. There's the deep reason why no one would just come after somebody for no such reason. There's got to be a deeper reason, and I guess that reason does check out. It does make sense. However, Miguel's, I don't know what it is. It's just the way he talks that I could just about hear what he was saying. I don't know if he has some sort of issues with speech or something like that. If he doesn't, I apologise. But I just wasn't feeling this character. Just the way he was. I just thought they could use him a bit more clearer voice-wise. His voice sounded like someone from a cartoon. But then he explains that, and he says, oh, he wants to find out where they put his daughter, and that's why he's trying to go after Nano, just for him to give him answers. And that's probably explains why the start of it, he was after this dude. I assume this dude is Chino that he was after at the start of the movie, that he buried alive. Was it buried alive? He didn't leave him unconscious, but I think he was still alive a little bit then. So I can see why he did that. And Martin just sort of explains how he's got 2 daughters, and he was understanding. He didn't really have anything to say because he understood in that position. Anybody would, especially parents in that sort of situation. And every time I hear dialogue like that now, it hits me even harder, because even that I felt sorry for him. And he tries to stop him from shooting Nano, because obviously police officers don't like these things happen, and they got to arrest him. But Ansan justice, Miguel took justice into his own hands. I understand that. I would have done the same thing too. I mean, it's natural instincts. Right? It's normal to behave that way. And Marty could have set him to it, but he knows it's part of his job is to stop him and try and find that reasoning with him, I guess. And they had a bit of a fight, a bit of a scuffle, but he didn't want to shoot him, because the guy technically is wanting justice. So I can understand that. And then at the end part, he he comes, he sees Nano and Miguel together. Miguel's just punching asking where he is, and then he eventually finds that Nano does have something to do with the missing body. And he did say that I'm not going to give you the location where I put her. And that made that made Martin kind of, I can't understand Martin's reaction. He in his heart is like, damn, I really want to take justice. I really want to help this guy out, Miguel out now. I could see he was raging inside. He had the shotgun, shot his leg. No, his leg was shot already. And you're saying, where is he? Where's the body? And he was like, what? F you and stuff like that. And and then he shot his hand off. I would have done damn near more than that. I would have shot his other hand off too. Notice how as soon as Nano was put to the ground with the officer, he lost all the power. It's like, that's just so when you see guys commit these type of crimes, they lose all that power when it's on them. And that's why I love a bit of justice at the end. And he says, oh, where's the body? And then he was like, oh, it's in the well, it's in the well. He wasn't so big now then, was he? Like, did you not notice Martin had a shotgun in his hand? I think it was a shotgun anyway. Did you not notice? Like, surely, surely, you know, that he would have been like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'll tell you where she is. I would still shot him. Don't get me wrong. I think any of us would, especially us parents. We would definitely have done that. I would have damn near shot him everywhere, or both arms, so he doesn't know what to do. You won't be able to use them because that annoyed me. I would have. I'm surprised he didn't blow his head off. But he got, you know, Miguel got what he wanted, and I don't know if he was arrested or not. I would assume he was, because he did ambush a police van, and that's not right. You could just easily contact the police. I know they couldn't do anything. He did say that Nano has been in and out of prison. I get that part, right? I understand that bit too. I mean, surely he could have gone to police and they could have done more this time round, to be fair. But I get it. It's rage and human instinct. I get that. Natural instinct to behave that way. I think any of us parents would be like that. So yeah, it's kind of like, at least he got justice, even though his daughter isn't alive. He got justice for her at least, and he can rest easy now. I mean, Chino's gone as well, so I assume the police know everything. And I thought Martin was gonna get arrested. He didn't actually. He just went to his locker. And I kind of like how the credits were rolling, like he was like as he was walking through like the corridor. I really like that. That's quite clever. They used it right there. And that's it. That's the movie. A quick explanation in 12 minutes. I didn't want to go through the whole thing, but I had to summarize it the best I can. And the best I could. That's the right form of language. Yeah, I had to explain the best I could. So if you do reviews at me, you probably explain it better, or you probably know the struggles at first of explaining movies. I did the best I can on this one, but I managed to get there in the end. But what I like about this movie is that they usually portray the enemy out. They usually portray someone like this to be the enemy, and that was just a bad guy. They're gonna kill him. You know, he shouldn't be doing this. Why is he doing this? Is he planning something? It turns out that there's a reason for this, and he's not actually a bad guy after all. He just wanted justice. So there's a lot of movies like this where sometimes it's not that all it seems, and I like movies like that, where it was not really a twist. It was kind of like more like, oh, it wasn't really that bad after all, as such, and there was a deeper reason to it. As well, they could have tweaked things. They could have made different. Where Montesinos, it felt kind of pointless for him to be back alive when he was going to die anyway. That's what I found kind of pointless. And it'd been more exciting if there would have been more than one enemy out there. But with how the storyline went, it makes sense to just have just Miguel on the outside. But with what I read, I thought there was going to be more than one person, at least 2 or 3 people, and I thought it was going to be Martin just attacking, like getting rid of 3 of them in a certain way. But that wouldn't have made much sense out, because he's outnumbered. He's outnumbered by the prisoners in the van. He wasn't outnumbered outside, just that the other person outside couldn't be seen. So yeah, but it's interesting how he had a way with the prisoners and how he didn't really get killed. That's one thing that surprised me the most, because they would have done, they should have done really, but they didn't towards the end for some, because they knew that because it's a prison van and police officers drive that, he was the only hope. So yeah, I mean, it's a great movie. The acting could have been better. I wasn't feeling Martin's character. You know, it just felt like he just didn't want to be there. Like, I get with the storyline, it was all stressful for the characters. I get what it's about. The characters are going to be in stressful situations, but I've seen better acting, to be fair. That's why I can't say this is the perfect movie, because the acting is not up to date. The rest of it was brilliant. I cannot hate. The rest of it was just brilliant. Brilliant type of action movie. The best action movie I've seen since Kate. And I think that was it last week? Was it 2 weeks ago? Maybe it must be one of those weeks, I think. But yeah, it's a brilliant. I would recommend watching it. I definitely would recommend it. These are the type of movies that I love. These are the type of movies that Netflix should have more of. You know, even shows too. It's just brilliant. More movies like this, and oh man, it'd make it even better. But yeah, sensational movie. I can't lie. It's just only thing need to be tweaked was the acting. Maybe one or two parts in the movie that could have been changed a bit. But yeah, rating for this, I already have a number. Watching this movie, I have one number in my head and one number only. That is a 9 out of 10. It definitely deserves a 9. I think 8 would be harsh. I think 9 is a stable rating to give this sort of movie. There's just the only improvement is probably the acting, because that would make it a perfect movie. And I do rate all these movies and shows fairly, bear that in mind. I rate how I think they should be rated. And there's probably one or two movies I look back and I think, oh, why did I give it that? But when you watch a movie and show, you start realising, yeah, I can see why I gave it the rating that I did. You know, it's probably not just me. Probably that if any of you do ratings or reviews like this, you might feel the same. You know, so yeah, I rated it. I rate this quite fairly. I think I certainly think it's better than decent. You look at a movie like that, it has nearly everything you're looking for in an action movie. It says on IMDb it's dark comedy. Didn't see none of that. I thought it would be a straight up action. And yeah, it says there's part horror mixed with it. That's bull. It's mostly action for me. That's why I wanted to review it today. And I don't regret it at all. And I am not disappointed. It's brilliant. So yeah, that's it for this video. 9 out of 10 it is. If you enjoyed the video, please give a like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification below. Just see you in my next video.